Well, Chris is gonna start welding.
No.
Just to make the podcast better.
It's all for the podcast.
Totally.
Well, Chrissy, I suggest we get you a floor model. Something that sits on the floor and then you just lean over.
Like a lamp.
Like a lamp.
Yes.
Like a lamp.
I love lamp.
Okay, let's do this.
You and your bright ideas.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of a Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCC or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just a tip, we are sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I am not mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for coming back and listening to a Peugeot episode of our podcast. It's episode 201. The Peugeot 201 was produced between 1929 and 1937. Although Peugeot had produced a motor vehicle as early as 1886, the Peugeot 201 may reasonably be seen as the company's first mass-produced model. So if you're not driving a Peugeot or even a French car, check out that E1R bingo card. It's about as reliable as a French car.
All righty.
Wow.
Wow.
I like your bingo card much better than French cars.
Thanks.
Cars are interesting.
We
True.
try occasionally.
Hey, we have a guest voice that we're going to get to in a minute, but we're going to start with Chrissy. What you working on?
Oh, the things I've worked on. I jacked up the car at the track. I took a wheel off. I swapped some tires. And I watched Chris exchange a knuckle when I lost a wheel stud.
On the Mazda 3, we should
On
say.
the Mazda 3.
Yeah. Did you eat chips while he was working?
No, I was swapping the rest of the wheels.
Oh.
And I was giving him chips because he came over and he yelled and he said, "Why did you fix this?"
I was hangry. They kept us in a
I
meeting for a long time.
No. Chris does not get hangry, and Chris was hangry.
Well,
Longest
there was-
download ever.
Oh,
yeah, there
my
was
gosh.
definitely some timing issues at the NASA, I almost said NACA, NASA Great Lakes Regional Pittsburgh track weekend. But that's going to be the main topic.
Yes. Jeff,
What did
are
I
you
do?
working on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went to a track day with a brand new car, like 7-day-old car. So I made some numbers.
They were awesome. The best numbers ever.
I rotated some tires.
Hey, you fixed someone else's car.
That's true. I did. Oh, you're right. I totally didn't put that in the notes. I attempted to bribe my instructor by replacing the discs on his ND Miata, and it did not help. More on that later.
But your numbers were fantastic.
They were fantastic. I will talk about that in a little bit, but
Okay.
I haven't even washed the car or scraped off the numbers, so it is still filled with race tire slag. And this is the 2020 beautiful blue Veloster N, so every dark spot you can see from 100 miles.
Mother's Race Rubber.
I got it.
Remover.
It came in Amazon yesterday. I just haven't had a
R3.
chance to do anything.
Okay, good. This stuff's amazing. I don't know how it works so well, but it works great. Just spray it on.
Hashtag totally should sponsor us.
Do
Spray
we
it on
want
and
a
wait a little
section on how it works? I could do that for you if you like.
Well, it's really easy. You just spray it on, wait, wipe off. Ta-da! It's magic.
Nice. Chris,
Yep.
what are you working on?
I've been working on a lot of things actually. So at the track, I worked on a BMW brake bleed and some Miata valve cover bolts and replaced the left front knuckle on the Mazda because it decided to break an ARP lug stud when Chrissy was driving it. That was basically brand new. So that's strange and unfortunate. But that's why we have spare knuckles to just put the whole thing on and deal with it later.
Not because I did anything wrong or went off
No.
track.
No, you were driving around a corner. And
It
then
was. And a crunch.
bing.
And then ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the worst part is that we lost the lug nut that goes with it, which we didn't have any spare of the spline drive lug nuts that the tire rack sent us with this that I did not want, but they're the only ones that fit in the stupid wheel. So we had to swap wheels for the rest of the weekend because we had lug nuts for those. Yeah. Reminder, Jeff, make sure you bring those spline lug nuts with us to Thompson.
Not a problem. I
Write that on
have
your packing list.
many of them.
Perfect. Since the track, I've replaced a hard brake line in the Corvette that was leaking. I replaced a section of metal fuel line that was leaking with some fuel injection hose. Then, while in the process of doing that terrible job, I kinked the new brake line that I just put in. So
Oh,
I had to take that back out, cut the kink off, which wasn't too far from the end, reflare it, get it back together. But I found the Corvette might just be a source of petroleum, because as I undid this fuel line, I cut it open. The side coming from the engine kept leaking for like 2 hours. And it goes like up substantially during this time. I don't understand how it kept leaking for so long. I put a bottle under where it was dripping just to keep pouring the gas back in the tank, and it filled it up twice, and it was still leaking. So eventually,
what kind of injection is on this 1983?
It's crossfire injection, which is
but I don't really know. I know that word, but I don't know what that means. Is it port?
No, it's not port. It's worse. It's 2 throttle body injectors. Like, so, like the TBI on the old pickup trucks.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It has 2 of them in separate places, and it then makes the air go across the car.
So the crossfire is the intake manifold, not
Yes.
the injectors.
Exactly. It's just a TBI in weird spots that has a weird intake manifold. And
A
makes
single throttle body with 2 injectors, or 2 separate pieces?
2 separate entire throttle bodies, each with 1 butterfly and 1 injector.
Got it.
It flows terribly. Terrible idea.
Cutting edge, 1984.
Yeah. So anyway, I've stopped the flow by eventually just pulling the fuel filter out of the front of the car, and then that proceeded to leak out of everywhere for quite a long time. But it stopped it from leaking at the back, so I could actually finish what I was doing back there.
You didn't really give a time frame on all of this.
This was last night at about up to 10 o'clock, maybe.
But you had planned to stop, and you're like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
There's gas filling the garage.
Yeah. So I had to keep going, and I came in absolutely reeking of gas, which is wonderful. What else? So since then, even I also replaced the window scrapers on both doors, in and out. It's like the rubber piece that goes in the inside and outside. They were completely trashed, and a mouse had eaten one. They were breaking anyway. That was awful. And those were installed again, GM staples and rivets. Yeah, thanks GM. Cleaned out the doors because they were full of mouse effluents, and including I found one mouse skeleton. Just the skeleton.
You should find skeletons. That's a good sign.
Yeah, just the skeleton. It had been there for quite a long time in this door, apparently. Also, bled the brakes, tightened the rear axle nuts, did more cleaning. And then tonight, I drove it around the block.
Oh, and it went?
Yeah.
It went well? It went poorly? What did it do?
Completely fine.
I'm posting a video right now.
It goes, it stops, it does things straight, it steers. I got it to second gear and then put overdrive on at second gear, and it worked.
Wow.
Everything seems to work. So yeah. So now I need to take it on a good 20-minute drive to get everything good and hot, and then change all the fluids out, and then it'll be figure out what breaks next, because seems okay now. Yeah. Then tonight I also did a quick once over on the Mazda. Once I got the Corvette out of the garage, came to find that here's this list of things that it will need for Thompson. Oil change. Wash. That's the list. That's all.
Hey, nice.
So,
Are we going to try and swap the studs back, or?
Yeah, well, I'll just put I ordered a new stud already for the one that broke. I'll just pop a new stud in that one, and I'll leave the knucklets on it. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. So that'll stay there until we need another one. Then I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good shape, because we're going to be gone for the weekend. So I'll have to finish up the Mazda next week when we come back.
Nice. We didn't write an intro for our 4th host.
That's okay. I'm okay.
I feel like we should, even though I'm sure everyone who listens to our podcast also listens to your podcast. So I feel like
the Venn diagram overlaps
exactly
quite considerably.
But you still need some sort of intro. So I'll just say, it's Bill Fisher from the Garage Heroes podcast. Woo! You all know him. He is the
Wow.
second person who listened and ever wrote us. And now he has his own podcast and his own team and has quickly become a track day expert. And that's why you're here this week.
I believe that was over promising, and I'm about to under deliver.
Yes, it hasn't necessarily been that quick. We'd figured out this weekend. It's been 4 years since the first time I instructed Bill at Pitt Race.
Yes.
And look how far you've come. It's so
A
cute.
baby bird.
Oh,
Chris is just dying to shove me out of the nest and watch me flop to the ground.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
So what have you been working on, Bill?
We had a race weekend, which we'll talk about later. We had a training. I got to be trained by Mr. Abbott on the track and off the track. We since my team was vacated the premises, I was actually able to do something mechanical under the tutelage of Mr. Abbott, and did brake bleeding, and we found something rather weird about the right front brake, which I had decided not to give out any brake fluid for 8 or so pumps of the brake, so that was less than
I'm
optimal.
sure Jeff was part of that.
Jeff did come in.
I came in at the end.
Yeah, Jim was doing the pumping. I don't know what was
Yes.
wrong with something. Anyway,
Please mention vehicle and
Oh, sorry. It was a 2004 BMW M3 E46 for those who play that game. And the brakes felt a little weird, so we decided we were going to bleed them a little bit. And I think we may have found something weird. We haven't quite figured out why, but I don't know.
I bet it was
We'll see.
something stuck in the bleeder, I think is probably what it was. Like there's no reason that would have, the brakes should have felt awful if there's that much air. I
Yeah.
think it was just something stuck. But
totally
it
could
out
have been
fine.
a stuck bleeder.
Could be. Well, it's done that every single time I've ever done it, since that was the first time I ever did it. So that was part of it. So since then, basically drove home, unpacked, resumed normal work, and we are all in the same predicament in that we have a race not this weekend but next weekend. So final I's and T's need to be crossed, and then the part that I pretty much hate the most at a race weekend is loading the trailer, and that's going to start on the weekend. So that's the plan.
I don't think you have to unload all that much from this last weekend. We take the Miata out, put the Ombre in
Yeah,
a bit more.
the bit more is always fun with the Ombre. So we have to choose what we bring and choose what we don't bring, and then we'll have a much
Never
bigger.
Make the right choice.
No,
matter what
that's
you
true.
Well, that's the
That's
nice
true.
part about having a pickup truck as a race car is you just put it all in the back of the truck. Like when Jeff used to do this, it was like the Beverly Hillbillies. were
It's
going
true.
to town.
It's true. There was like 4 bikes over the roll bar.
Absolutely.
All
That's
the
the
fuel
advantage.
cans in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a storage vehicle. It's a
It
work
is.
truck.
Totally.
It's awesome though.
Oh, excuse me. I need a beverage to clear my throat.
Much better.
Fago.
News and notes time. It was actually Diet Coke, regular Diet Coke.
Okay. Fago.
AER has canceled their August 13th and 14th at the Charlotte Roval race. Email from John at AER says, quote, the organization that were to share the Charlotte Motor Speedway has canceled their event, and consequently it is not feasible for AER to hold our event on our own. The teams that were registered were contacted by email and mostly have already moved their registration to another event. Their next race is in September at Nelson's
With an
Ledges.
S.
Nelson's Ledge.
Sure.
Yes.
I think there's multiple ledges that are owned by Nelson.
Yeah.
That's
Is
how
it
I
an
pronounce it.
apostrophe S?
I
They're right.
apostrophe S. I assume it's Nelson's.
It's his ledges.
It's his ledges. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Everybody's actually just spelling it.
Not that there's multiple Nelsons that have ledges.
That'd be
For
really
those of you
confusing.
who don't know why we pronounce the S, check out the Eric Rude show way back when.
You have to go through a lot of them.
Mhm.
Okay, Eric Root. Speaking of, he must be smiling. He must still be smiling. It seems that during the Lemons Rally, Andy Diorsi that's better. Diorsi of Detroit Bus and Hand Sanitizer fame organized a protest in front of the Renken GM headquarters in Detroit to bring back Saturn, and got Fox to Detroit to show up and run it. I'm sure you saw that. Eric excuse me, according to Eric, totally Andy's idea. I gave him a carte blanche to set up the bus tour from the Detour Bus Company, and then he came up with that idea like the day before. One of the greatest things to ever happen in Lemons. Fox News 2 has since removed the video. I didn't realize, but it was covered in a lot of places and was saved by the Concours de Lons Facebook. Link to Jalopnik's story and the original video is in the show notes. Freaking hilarious.
Hilarious. I watched it again. I have to tell you, on
Hilarious.
I guess Monday night, maybe it was Tuesday. I don't remember. I think it was Monday night. One of my coworkers who still daily drives a Saturn SUV, a View with the Honda
sorry.
V6 motor, said, "Oh my God, someone sent me this because it's Saturn."
Get out. So it made
And
it
then
like,
I
not
watched
because
it and I said, "Oh my God, this is that thing that Jeff does." And then I replied, "Yeah, I know those people."
oh my goodness.
And then I
That's
sent her the Fox
amazing.
2 link where they actually were covering it. It is
Wow.
hilarious.
So it's still out there some places, just not. You can't go to Detroit News too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh, they figured out they got trolled.
But it's so funny.
It is. The Drive reports that Tesla is making actual profits.
No.
Lies.
Yeah, it's creative accounting. They report another earnings call from Tesla, but this one was full of good news. In addition to posting a record quarterly profit of 1.1 billion, the electric automaker did so by actually selling cars, not just regulatory credits like it usually does to prop up its financials. They posted an article, Big 5 Things to Know from Tesla's quarterly earnings call. Link in the show notes.
Awesome. So Lucky Dog Racing League has relaunched a Facebook page. It's the official Lucky Dog Facebook page. The former page was run by one of their former employees and is now called All Things Endurance Racing. And it is a lovely page. I'm a member to both. But if you really want to talk to the top dog, Kathy, everybody wants to talk to Kathy, especially if you've met her, you need to join the official Lucky Dog Racers page, and the link to it will be on the show notes.
I got my acceptance today.
Congratulations.
I'm officially a Lucky Dog Racer.
One step closer to a blue check mark on Twitter.
I don't even have a Twitter. I mean, I do have a Twitter. I never use it.
Twats?
Different page.
Okay.
Upcoming races.
Speaking of Lucky Dog, they will be running the Dog Days of Summer, aka the 3rd annual Rob Endworthy Memorial Race at Oregon Raceway Park. That race is going to be a 9+6. There are 50 cars, 19 of which are BMWs, which is
boring.
Thank you. 7
But I own a
Miatas,
bunch.
3. Yeah, well, everyone makes mistakes.
Wow.
I know, right? No, I've had a few too. They're nice. I just don't use them as race cars.
Okay.
7 Miatas, 3 Hondas, 3 Porsches, and an 86 Sirocco.
Ooh.
When is the last time you saw a Sirocco?
On
Not
the
on Bring a
street?
Trailer. Like
Or
in real
like-
life. In real life, a Sirocco.
Does Jason Camisa's Instagram count?
No.
No.
Real life. In the steel.
Can't tell
We're on
you.
the East
Nope.
Coast.
Exactly. Yeah.
No. I didn't know they were allowed still.
Exactly. Yeah. They're all projects.
Recent results.
Oh, I'm back again.
Sorry.
Lemons had their trifecta this weekend. I just had to scroll past all the things to realize it was me. Anyway, their trifecta this weekend. The rally was incredible. Way too much incredible stuff that didn't win trophies, but should have. And we already talked about the Saturn thing. But anyway, winner on points was Green Stripe Racing, 1968 Bremen Mini Mark Shriners Edition, which is a VW kit car that I think we talked about this last week. It looks like a cross between an MGTD and an Excalibur and a Gazelle. And it's just like generic old car. It's really what it looks like. You like told someone to draw that. That's what it was. Second on points, Teen Punschrafe, which sounds like it should be German, but it's a Mazda B2000 bus conversion. That's got to be terrible. Third on points, Slag Brothers, Austin Powers, Triumph Spitfire. They suffered, I'm sure. Safety actually first. This is Chrissy's favorite award ever. Bad decisions like the 1957 Howe Defender fire truck. They survived. That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The
Didn't
of
they
two.
suggest that was going to be like 45 mile an hour top speed on that?
Yeah.
One of the
those are-
two.
Those are
Mhm.
geared
Might have been
real
now.
slow to get around town full of water, especially in the
Right.
50s. Lemon's TARDIS Award went to Lemon's Little Yikes in a Smart for 2.
So
Apparently, it's
cute.
bigger on the inside. Are we there yet? Went to the Foxy wagon, a Mercury Marquis wagon with a 2.3 turbo swap. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Random Acts of Stupidity went to Truck Stop Crouton / Dorf in their 81 Ford fire truck. Excellent.
2 fire trucks.
Yep. And org choice is the Togas and 1957 Chrysler Saratoga.
There was
Uh,
also, oops.
I was going to say,
Toga.
I forgot to look
Toga.
up the Bremen thing last week.
Yeah.
It was way sexier. Look at that green.
It's like just
like-
generic old
like-
car.
But it's like my
perfect.
favorite color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a
Chitty
good
chitty
car.
bang bang.
Mhm.
So also there was also a 37 Buick that was all original. 2 kids from Minnesota in a 60 Bel Air and an 03 Saturn Ion with all the body panels removed to make a lunar rover. A gorgeous 72 Vista Cruiser where mom kicked out her husband and kid for the final day to finish the rally. A most extreme Challenger. I probably should say most extreme Challenger in a 1980.
MXC. Tell us about it, Gee.
An 80 Dodge Challenger, which is rebadged as a Mitsubishi Lancer, which is a horrible car, and that there was an MXC theme. So that's wrapping up the rally. For the trifecta, there was also the Concours de Le Mans, which we still don't have any entrants or not. I saw some awesome cars listed on the social medias. I'm sure it was fantastic, but that's all I know.
No, of course. They also raced this weekend. That is the third part of the 3 at the Oregon Raceway Park for the Pacific Northwest. A 43 car field with 16 Class C cars, just 7 A cars.
That's wonderful.
That's amazing. Class C was apparently a titanic battle between a Plymouth Scamp and a Studebaker Avante. Basically, that is true Le Mans stuff there. Winner was St. Thomas, which is Matt Adair's 90 Corrado. Class B School of Race Car in an 85 318i. And Class C went to Scuderia Asinio with their Plymouth Scamp. The Nacho Friend guys also racked up a bunch of judges and organizers' choice awards over the years. Utterly fantastic team. Could care less about winning in their shitty Celica, but it was running, so that's good.
So friends of ours at Everyday Driver podcast, which really is troubling because you being everyone racers and them being everyday driver, I have to think when I speak, and that just doesn't go well. But anyway, they drive the non-player special. It was a Boxster. It has been a legacy wagon. And anyone care to guess which one performed better? Anyone? Bueller?
Subaru.
Amazingly, when the Subaru is the better car, that's saying something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to the surprise of no one. IOE was a team from Missoula who made a Grand Marquis look like Sully from the Monsters, Inc. And it looked very damn good.
I'll have to Google that. I didn't see that.
Well, there's this picture of one of the podcast hosts on tonight dressed as Sully skiing at the local mountain that's on the IG as well. So I have a soft spot for Sully. But anyway, and the School of Race Cars, a turbo Volvo swapped E30 because why not? The E36 swapped a Volvo 245 of the Bernal Dads and finished 7th. Dirty Duck finished 2nd in B for about the 1 millionth time. Sad trombones.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm not.
Well, I mean, you can also have this for everyone that has a cheap Boxster.
Yep.
Phil, how'd your cheap Boxster work out? It was a great idea, right?
It was tremendous. It was even cheaper when I sold it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how does Metzel's cheap Boxster work out?
Not likely to function.
Yep. Oh well.
Yeah.
Such a good idea in principle.
It's
so
great.
terrible in
You buy
reality.
it cheap and sell it cheaper. It's awesome.
Yeah. Excellent.
Listener feedback. So I was trying to keep up with some of our posts on social media, trying to show our prep for the weekend, and then plenty of pictures of us working on cars or really just sitting around. Thanks for all the love that we got for there. And notably, Brett S. asked who won, which is always a great question to ask for an HPD weekend.
Some people were
Yes.
trying to win.
Oh, yeah.
I put my
Liam.
new car back on the highway unscathed, except
When
a
you-
scratch on the bumper for when I bumped into Scooty while parking.
Bill saved Scooty though. Everybody, he
Yes.
caught it. It's okay.
Yes. Instead of saying "Stop, Jeff," as he was waving me in, it's okay. I don't blame you.
I didn't realize you were just going to keep going. I mean,
Like you have a backup camera. It's right there.
I was looking in the mirror because I was trying not to run over the tools, which I left scattered from doing the Mazda brake job.
well, I was looking at the tools that were very
I know
small.
we were all looking at the tools. Nobody was watching Scooty.
Not the very large scooter.
Ah.
but sorry.
I should say that our fourth host, who is still out there doing maneuvers or something, we're not really sure where Mental is. Is he in the country? Is he out of the country? Does he have the internet? We don't know. He's not here. But he wanted to point out that the line from Blazing Saddles that I tried to quote was actually not a $100 hand cart. It was a $400 hand cart. I think this might have been the best joke all year that I've said. And as proof, Al
agree.
Jones
That's great.
mentioned that, quote, "I legit spit out my drink. We are all terrible people," when he heard me say it. Yeah, if you left, you're my friend. That's what was going on.
And the
Yep.
best part is it's under the lemons limit, so you're fine.
Good.
Good.
That has to be our next Mel Brooks theme. No, we're not doing that.
Where the white women at?
That does show up on your
Playlist. Yeah.
playlist. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's young Chris Egan chimed in on the YouTube doodly doo.
Well, we call him young Chris Egan because he's like 2 years younger than you, Chris Abbott, right?
I think it's more than 2, but
Okay.
yeah, he's no longer as young as he used to
He's
be.
not as
Amazing
young
how
as he
that works.
used to be.
Yeah,
But
right.
He's still younger than you, so he's the
Yeah,
younger.
and he will continue to be that way. He seriously asked how to get rid of an airbag module. Apparently, he has 3 of them: Daytona Saab and Mystery BMW. And at one point, had a teen driving school that wanted them to show the teens what happens in an accident, but they backed out. So thanks to old school 3 p.m.er Omar, who replied, "Bring them to a Lemons race, and they can be a carnival ride." And that's what I've always had in my mind for this. I can totally imagine Ohms sitting on a chair on top of an airbag with a helmet on.
Tire. Don't you usually sit on a tire so that
I
it
can-
protects your butt from the explosion?
But
like
I
a
think
like
sitting
a
on
wheel.
an old Kirky would be even better,
Old Kirky would work.
right? Because it's
No,
metal.
but
You
you
can
have no
sit on that-
padding. You need
Sit
to
on that wearing a helmet, having a smoke, just waiting for the airbag to go off.
The
Poor
anticipation would actually hurt you more than like the actual explosion.
Also,
You'd be like,
this-
just do it.
My-
Just do it.
My safety brain is like, no, it's so bad.
This would be part of the sploding, not the stunting.
That's
Anyway,
true.
so Jeff posted a picture of his homemade lemons numbers, the best numbers ever. Numbers aren't hard. You just have to use a lemons sticker and cut the numbers from it because, hey, it's made of vinyl. It's awesome.
I'd like
So-
to mention that right here,
Right here.
Over Jeff's shoulder.
that's my vinyl cutter.
Yep.
I forgot to bring numbers. I own a vinyl cutter.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yet you weren't going to buy any numbers, so you busted out a pair of scissors and some lemon stickers, and there were the numbers, and it was fantastic. So there was this guy named Wally. He said he was bringing beers, but then he showed up, and it was this guy named Randy Bish, from the legit Nigerian businessman. And this whole Wally thing has messed me up from the start. I had no idea who he was. Now I
He
finally did.
explained the whole Wally thing, and I understand why he is hiding on the internet now. So
Oh, I don't know that Bill must not have been. That was after Bill went to bed.
No,
you
I
didn't-
got it.
Oh, you got it.
yeah, he
Okay.
was
Yeah.
there for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Lauren
Right.
too. Lauren was very pleasant. I never get to talk to Lauren because she's always surrounded at the races by like the Bish and the Bishites.
Mhm.
Like his whole crew there is a little scary when they're all together. So
Yeah, she
It's
fills in
legit.
all the empty space, and there is none. So yeah.
Great. What's next?
Oh.
second racing. There was none, right? No
No.
lemons races.
I don't think
on
so.
our racing?
Not
Nothing
sure
yet.
when they come
Nope.
back.
Did we do an E1R race on Monday?
We did.
We
absolutely
did.
did. We had Formula V's on Monza Grand Prix with no chicane, and
Yep.
then Lotus 49s on Monza combined with no
Yep.
chicanes. I am sure that someone died. That's
I
all
was
know.
there,
Oh, you were there. Great.
and
You
we
were?
all died multiple times.
Oh.
The Formula V's on the Mazda with no chicane was like, it was like you could make a sandwich, decide like cut it in half, add it, put it in the oven, eat it, clean up after yourself, do the dishes, and then the straight was over. Like it was so slow on the Monza. And then the Lotus 49s were so fast and so the just the surface is so terrible that you just like it was not how many times you crash. It was like if I crash 4 or 5 times and I'm actually closer to the pits, I will win the race because the towing time will be less.
That wasn't Chris's idea. Just saying.
That was Wartburglar's idea, but I
was-
thought it was hilarious, especially the
Lady A
juxtaposition.
actually didn't crash, and I think she either won or almost won. So
Great.
Oh,
Awesome.
You know who else wins by not crashing?
yes.
I've got guesses. I've got a guess.
Go for it.
I would say it would be Chrissy's mom, maybe
Ding
Chrissy's
ding ding
dad.
ding 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 ding.
That'd be correct.
Bill's the winner.
Thank
There you
goodness.
Great job, Bill.
You know, I
No
can
needs
read.
crashing.
all right, Bill, do you remember when you started listening to us?
It was episode 6 or 7.
Wow,
Good.
Wow.
single digits.
Yeah,
Don't go back and
further
don't
than
go
that.
back.
Don't go back
and
and listen
to
that
them.
far. Start at like
No.
50 if you really want to go back. We just passed our 200th show, and we mentioned that we were doing a big celebration for our 204th episode when Mental gets back with a live Ask Me Anything. Follow our social media to get those links. We will be doing it via Zoom and bringing people in to like talk to us live. But until then, we have some quick flashbacks to celebrate. And tonight we'll be discussing our favorite outside the show moment. Like, what did the show bring to us that happened while we weren't recording? And we've done some cool things. So that's what we're going to talk about. Here are some of our favorites. Can I start or one? Bill, what is your
You
favorite?
start.
Well,
I'm
since I wasn't there, I don't get to choose. But I was wondering what was your favorite, since I'll lead in for this.
I loved SEMA.
You did.
I had been like reading about SEMA like my whole life, and going to SEMA, I was like really geeked. And the show was cool and all, like like it, but it wasn't the show. It was the whole like we're there for the weekend. We hung out with Mental and Mrs. Mental, and she made great food, and like we got to like act like bigwigs. Like we had like the press pass, and it was like kind of a big deal, and people treated us like a big deal. And I got to run into like YouTubers that I kind of like, I'm gonna take a selfie with Tavares. And everyone's like, who the hell is Tavares, Jeff?
Yep, that's what we said.
I know it was. But actually it was really cool to see the stuff, to be treated at a major like show. And the education stuff was cool. What Chrissy and I learned about like social media, like the algorithms and how to post things. That was all really cool. So I'm going to go with SEMA.
I like your idea. I'm going to go with Laguna, going to Laguna as guest of Kathy. We didn't race a whole lot, but we did a lot of wrenching, and we had a lot of laughs and a lot of good memories, and we checked off a bucket list track. So I'm going to go with that one.
Did everybody get out at Laguna?
We all
Yeah.
got at least an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
I would like to pick something different, but I can't.
Picked
Laguna
mine
was
first,
cool.
just so you know.
You
Just so
did.
we're saying.
And I'm just agreeing with you. That was awesome.
The Laguna weekend was a lot better than the Laguna race.
Yeah.
Only
Yes, I guess.
because
Totally.
our car blew up thanks to a police officer who says, I don't need to go out on practice. I know how to drive. And then he money shifted. So
Yep.
Yeah, then
But-
he tried to tell me it was a head gasket. And I said, well, what
Yes.
happened? Oh, well.
I didn't hear
That's
that part of the
not-
story.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. Trying to diagnose, and he's like, "No, that's what it is." And Chris is like, "You didn't tell me what happened."
I said, don't diagnose for me. Tell me what happened. And he's like, well, I went from 5th to 4th, and then the motor went zing, and it didn't work. So I think it's a head gasket. I'm like, no.
No,
it's
no,
not.
No.
You didn't go 5th to 4th. You
Uh-huh.
went 5th to 2nd.
Uh-huh. Oh, well.
Anyway, I dug Laguna too. I'm nothing against Laguna. That was also a great weekend. That was the first time I nearly got beat up in California. So
Why?
Remember the guy at the In-N-Out wanted to like beat me up?
Yeah, because he took a selfie.
I took a selfie and he was like,
Oh.
"You take
Oh,
a picture of my
yeah.
family?" I was
Yeah.
like, "No,
No,
selfie. Don't you know how this works?"
I'm from across the country. And then there's 3 more memories. When we did the leak dance in the hotel room, and then we showed your lady friends the video at the track the next day. And that's where actually
When we're having charcuterie lunch.
Yes.
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 Uh,
Who were those ladies? I don't
I
even
don't
know.
friends of somebody.
They were like friends and they just had like lunch for us.
Yeah, I think they were
was
drinking
great.
all day. They had a great. There were a lot of laughs. And then that's where you became my co-husband, because and then we drank Bailey's out of not a shoe in the hot tub because we needed to drink it before it went bad. Before we had to leave the next day.
Good times.
It was a big bottle.
It was.
Fantastic.
That's what.
Oh well.
Bill, how many hours did you get in Laguna when you went? Did everybody get to drive?
Yeah, we got to drive it. We went pretty far. We got towed in like 6 or 7 times, so we were out there quite a while.
I mean, but would you get like 20 minutes and then towed in, or did you get like 5 laps?
I think everybody got at least 3 hours total, because there was only 3 of us. So
Wow.
You did way better than us.
yeah, same car, but it was fun.
No, different. We had a
No,
BMW.
no, we had
You were-
BMW.
Oh, you had the BM.
Yeah.
We had the car that got replaced as it got wrecked. So okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. It was fun though. Yeah, Kathy's facility.
Kathy's amazing. I
mean-
wish we were closer to the Carolina races so we could go race down there.
Yeah. Well, I was
All
going to go to
right.
CMP, but I got canceled because the cars. Anyway.
Yeah.
Are we
Okay.
ready for me to yell?
Yes.
Main topic time. Whenever we're picking co-hosts, we always try and pick somebody who is an expert in the topic. And tonight we have an expert in only one topic, really long podcasts,
I could do that.
and HPDEs. We already mentioned that Bill, you all know Bill. You know that he is a Lemons racer. You know that he's a friend of the show. You know all of those things. We sold him a car once, and we will not take it back no matter how many times he asks. And we will continue to tell him what brake pads to put on it because I never could remember. So thanks, Chris, for always filling that in. And we just came back from the Pittsburgh International Racetrack with the Great Lakes HPDE. And since you're such an HPDE expert, Bill, we brought you in.
Thank you.
We always start with the intro and credentials. How many HPDEs have you been to in the last like 2 years? 3
2
years?
years? Well, 3 years. It's over 30. So I've done a few.
I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah. Well, you know,
However,
you
it's
start from a low level. You got plenty of room to go up, so you just keep
Yeah.
going.
Sure.
It's 4 years ago that Bill was my student at HPDE 1 that we talked about earlier. It's been a long road since then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Same.
you won recently Class C,
C.
correct?
Yep.
And you immediately said, "This is because of all the training that we've been doing."
Oh, 100%. I mean,
100%.
you know, just the combination of the HPDs doing a little bit of work off the track as well, trying to learn as much as we can, and listening to your podcast was one of the ways we got as good as we could.
Yeah. I'll allow you. Well, before we get to the HPD, I also want to mention your podcast because maybe there's like 2 people who are listening to us who have not listened to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. I will say that you've been doing some great interviews lately. Ross Bentley, you've had on like 4 times. We're going to talk about Ross Bentley.
Yep.
I loved. What did I heard somebody recently that I was like, that guy was really cool, and I don't remember who it was.
The Johnny C with the arrow.
Yes, the Arrow Show. I talked about that on this show. That's right. Yeah, fantastic stuff. So is there if somebody has not listened to the Garage Hero podcast, what episode should they go to and how would you describe your podcast?
So we always, half jokingly say you guys are the 201 because you know more than we do, and we're the 101. So we know what we know, and we're trying to catch up. But when we don't know something, we try and get an expert or a guest on to help us discuss a topic that we had trouble with initially or that we've had trouble with recently. But the goal of our podcast is to to every episode to try and give you one thing where you can go a little faster or drive a little better or have a car that lasts a bit more. So that's what we try to do. If you were listen to one episode, I'd say of the recent ones, I think episode 200 with Ross Bentley was one of my favorites that we've had. We've had all four of the hosts of this podcast on. Care to take any bets on which episode was the longest of the four?
Mentals.
Yeah, there's no guess on that one.
No guess at all. Yes.
Was it longer than the podcast you just posted of you?
So that podcast,
2 hours and 45 minutes for those of you who have not looked.
Well, it's not just me because we had
Bill show starring Bill, guest star Bill, special host Bill, musical guest the Bills, the Fisher players.
That's right. So it had the new episode, and we went through with 3 other quick questions, and then we had the old episode, and then we had to dominate with Dawson. So yeah, it's almost 3 hours. We've had requests to break them up into smaller ones, so we started doing that this week. So
I love Dawson.
Dawson's fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Trying to do like a Speed Secrets thing there. So thank you.
Let's talk about Pittsburgh. Who's gonna start the questions? Chris, you did. You're good at reviews.
Fine. Sure. Well, should we talk about what went well? Like, just go around the horn. What went well? I'll start us off. I had a good HPDE1 student. I was a little worried because he had a 335i with the boost turned up, and I was like, oh man, all right, it's tough. And how are the brakes? They're stock, but I have better pads. I'm like, oh no, okay. So he turned out to be really good. I felt safe all weekend. He responded to instruction. He got significantly faster as the weekend went on. He was just nice to deal with. It's great to have a student that really, like, you feel like you get somewhere with and you feel safe all the time, and you make good progress.
And he was a listener at some point, wasn't he?
Yeah, apparently he had heard of us. He at least knew who we both of our podcasts were.
Hey.
This is 2 years in a row that my HPD student at this event knows who we are. It's kind of
still
strange.
came.
I know, right? So hey, Zach, if you're out there listening,
Hi.
great weekend. Thanks. Yeah, he's
Sorry
trying
about the
to build
garage fire.
Yeah, he's trying to build an E36 for endurance racing yeah. So he was interested
and it
to
pulled
know
a
all about
Lamino.
what we did.
It caught fire in his garage.
Or something caught fire in his garage.
Something
I don't know if it
did.
was the car, but something did and burned all kinds of stuff,
It's
including
very
like the
sad.
mirror app on the E335.
Yeah,
and
it kind of looked pretty cool,
bumper.
actually.
it looked tough. It's like, I've seen some shit.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome.
All right. Who else wants to do a what went well? Chrissy?
I guess I can jump in here. So I started in 3, and I kind of self-selected myself into 3, and nobody gave me a problem out, which was awesome. So the first time in that section, so all the material was new, the conversations were new, all the people were new. That was pretty awesome. I did some practice, and I think I had some good instruction last stint out. Wish I had that earlier from my husband. That was very good. I have a lot to work on.
Except you told me no.
I did tell you no.
Said all the gas.
Oh, and I told you to shut up multiple times. But that's because you were being excessive. So yeah, that's what it went well.
I'll go next because Bill will talk a lot probably.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I brought the Veloster, and what I learned was about the Veloster. I'm not so sure I learned a ton about driving because, I'm there for right seat instruction, and I only got that right at the end with Chris, and that was the best 20 minutes I spent on the track. And driving the street car, what I learned is so totally different from the race car, and being too afraid to really pitch my daily driver for the next 5 years when it's only 7 or 8 days old, hindered my ability to really do what I needed to do, and broke my brain a little bit on the track. And I wish I would have gone in saying, don't try and learn anything, just have fun.
So this is like what could have gone better. This is the
No,
one.
but that's good because I'm sorry. I learned about my car. Done.
Yay. Great.
Well, we had other cars you could have borrowed, Jeff.
I should have, and I didn't realize how bad I was doing. Never mind. That's bad stuff. Go on.
No worries.
I love Ross Bentley. Woo!
Ross was awesome.
Bill,
We-
what went well for you?
Well, meeting Ross in person finally, because we've talked to him a ton of times, but we'd never actually met him in person, so that was kind of nice. I think for personal side, most of it, this event was really for our team and for you. I was trying to make sure you guys got a little bit of sampling of the telemetry, and I think that went pretty well.
That was
and then,
awesome.
And then I was trying to make sure Vicky and Liam and Jen got to progress as well they could. But the two big ones for me were going out with Chris early on Saturday. I know Pitt Race very well. It's been probably close to 2 months since I'd actually driven, though, because I didn't drive at New Jersey. And that's relatively long for me. I usually drive a little more often than that, but he refined my lines a little bit, not telling me what to do, but why to do it. And then everything just clicked. So from that point on, everything tightened up really well and things did get better, Chris. So
I know they did. I saw the results.
Yeah. And then the thing that I like when you started in HPD 1, everything was fun. The drills were great. The classroom was great. And HPD 2, the teachers were awesome. The drills were even better. Then I go to HPD 3 and the drills are even better. So I go to HPD 4 and I'm expecting, like, God's gift of drills. And these are going to be so hard, but so fun. And there was only one that I really liked, and it was the 3 wide drill that we did towards the end on Sunday. But I don't know what to do to make them more fun or better, but I think the drills in 3 are better than 4.
Interesting.
Fantastic. So what's next? What could have gone better? I feel like I want to go right to Jeff because you were already on top of all this.
Sorry.
No,
I could
that's
have
great.
had
You're just
a
so
better,
excited.
I could have had a better attitude about my daily, and I should have taken a track car, to be honest with you. That's what I should have done.
Well, we're running short of track cars at this point.
I understand, yeah.
If you fixed one, then you can bring that one.
Working on it.
No worries.
I made my brother buy one. It just wasn't done in time. So, yeah, no. And let me say real honestly, like, if you are not willing to risk your daily driver and it is going to impede you from doing what you need to do, don't bring that one to a track day. I should have maybe brought the wife's Corvette, because I think I was more in tune with that and would have been able to pitch it a lot harder. Not because it's faster.
I thought you would have been even more afraid of that.
Me
just
too.
Because of the consequences.
Yeah.
Because you'd have been like,
I should have just gotten one of Bill's Miatas.
Yep.
They were there.
Yep.
Mazda, there's too. It's a town bicycle at this point.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, but I wouldn't say that went bad. That was just a missed opportunity for me.
Okay.
It wasn't bad. I really enjoyed driving the Veloster. Sorry, Chrissy, go.
Okay. My also missed opportunity was that I just thought that I needed track time and not instruction, and I should have had instruction earlier than I did. I didn't. I missed my instructor on the last shift of Saturday, and so he was like, "Oh, I was looking for you," and we were Bill and I were messing around with the Garmin. So I showed up to the track late, missed him. He came in on the morning, Sunday morning. I was frazzled. I wasn't all there when he was trying to give me instruction, and I got Chris in the car late, and I should have had him in earlier to actually get somebody to tell me the things I was doing wrong rather than trying to actually fix all of my problems. So that was my missed opportunity.
Does it help you, Chrissy, when you drive with Chris driving, or
No.
is it's the other way around you need?
No, I did. I went out with him and I almost threw up because Jeff was like, "You just ate. You should probably not go." And Chris is like, "You want to go?" And I'm like, "Oh, I should go." No, and Chris is just he needs a wheelbarrow for how big his balls are. Like, I can't. And he's like, like he's driving straight and he brakes at the 1, and I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's Chris. And then I turn and it's fine. This happens every corner. What, Jeff?
Was that a driving comment or never mind?
Oh yeah. That's it. Just that. He brakes so late that I say, yeah, that'd be great if I did that. I know what I'm supposed to do, and it helps once to know what it can do, but I need to know what it can do. And then if he told me at the 1 and he told me while I'm driving to brake at the 1, And I
I
said,
did. You didn't
no,
listen.
I have to listen. But at least if I, so once, if I'm driving with him, that's fine. It's helpful for right seat, at least once.
I liked my time right seating with Chris. I think it helped me reset.
Well, your situation was a little different.
Yeah, my situation was different. Bill, what could have gone better for you?
Well, I think Chris and I will both share the download with where Ross attended was fantastic, except neither one of us ate before we went, and it was beginning just before lunch and then carried on well past lunch. So both of us were like, "Oh my God, am I starving here?" But that could have been better planned on our part. And then I think the weekend as a whole, just seeing everybody there this is our highlight weekend of this season. Just going with you guys to this particular event, NASA Great Lakes, with our friends at this track it's fantastic.
It was a good weekend. Absolutely.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
She always pokes her head in. It's a
Hi.
podcast.
She could get a microphone and jump in. Whatever. We don't
Hi
care.
guys, I didn't know you guys were on.
Yeah.
This is when we
We made a
Yep.
mistake to invite Bill, but here we are. It's too late to stop now. So
Oh
what do you
yeah,
want?
hey, there you go.
Right.
How are you guys?
Doing
great. Long time to
Great.
see.
I know. What a great weekend, huh?
That's
Absolutely.
exactly what we're talking about.
Oh my gosh, it was so hot on the last day. I think I killed myself just packing on Sunday.
Well-
It kind of snuck up on us.
Well, hey, Vicky, while you're here, what was the best part of the weekend for you?
Driving your car.
Fantastic.
Driving the Mazda 3.
The Mazda 3 was really surprisingly, it wasn't tame. I was just really amazed at how it gripped and how it just kind of dug in
And all
into the
tire,
track.
all the suspension.
Yeah,
front
yeah.
drive cars are okay.
They are okay. Yeah. That one particular car that I had before was a little scary, but yes, you guys have certainly changed my mind on it. I did have to keep reminding myself that now that if I did feel a little bit of give in the back, then I just needed to step on the gas, and I had to keep telling myself that.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it barely ever does. Like if you could get it to step out, you're amazing.
Yes.
Because Chris only had it once. I had it once, and that's it. I mean, like it doesn't do. It's very predictable.
it is. It was really cool. Although I wish I kind of had the pillow seat because I felt like a toddler driving it.
Yeah. Well, to go down the hill, I had to do that too. So, and I might be a little taller, but yeah.
Yes, it was a lot of fun driving it, and it was surprisingly quick. But what else was about the car? They were teasing me about the cicadas that were coming out from underneath the hood because it was just noisy. that they were it was the people that I was at grid with. They're like, anybody hear the
the
locust
exhaust
song?"
rattles.
The
around.
exhaust rattles.
Yeah.
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 And,
But it
and
was-
Vicky,
and the
your
brakes too.
Miata generally survived the weekend. It's been a while
It
since that
did.
happened, right?
Yeah. Like I said before, I think that my second tier consumables are starting to kind of go. So I need to make a checklist of that level and start thinking about those and not first tier consumables.
I broke it.
You
I
know,
was out having
it's a heat soak.
You got a
I
little
was-
heat soak. That
I was
wasn't
having so
broken.
much fun with that car. It is such a riot. And then it cooked.
And then it
something
wasn't.
in the ignition system. Yeah. It was great until then.
Well,
well.
I know you went underneath the hood and you did see a bunch of stuff that was underneath there that needed to be tended to. So like to get with you on that bit of
Yeah.
a checklist. And after the Thompson race, we're going to go ahead and place an order and make it, because I won't have to actually do anything with that car until October, I believe. So
Fantastic.
it was great. I look forward to seeing you guys at Thompson.
Excellent. Likewise. Thanks.
All right.
Great. Okay. So should we keep going with favorite part of the weekend? I mean, Vicky started us off. We'll keep rolling with that.
Favorite
mean,
part of the
it's-
weekend for me was Ross Bentley.
Yep.
There was one session where he gave us almost an hour of his time, and that was fantastic. And actually, all of my notes from the weekend were from that because I had been through two so many times that I kind of already knew what they were going to say.
The favorite part of my favorite part of the weekend was when Ross Bentley comes out of
Chrissy, we
class.
can't hear.
We can hear you.
We can hear.
You're fine, Chrissy.
Okay. I'm
Just
like, I'm
Jeff.
trying to go off of mute. Okay. I don't know what happened.
It's only
Uh,
Jeff.
Okay,
No.
cool. I'm sorry. So yes, so I'm sitting on Scooty in the middle of the parking lot, waiting, I guess, for everybody to get out of the classroom. And Ross Bentley, I met him in person, in passing. He walks and beelines to me, and I
This is
said,
where
"How
Jeff
is
gets in trouble.
No, this is my favorite part of the weekend.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, what day does Ross Bentley beeline to me? And I said, "How was your weekend?" And he says, "Perfect." And I said, "That's wonderful." And he stands in front of me and says, "I want to hear the song." And I was like, "Oh no, I didn't have to ask what song."
Did you say what song, or you absolutely
I-
knew exactly what I was?
I
he was
think
talking
I
about?
probably said what song, and to get more knowledge of why he knows the song, because Pit Race only has one song for me. I mean, other than the yelling, which I decided to try to not tell him that I do. But the song of modulating the gas, modulating the gas. And so I was like, "What song?" And I said, "How do you know about the song?" He says, "Oh, well, Jeff just told the whole class that you have a song." And I was like, "Oh, good." And he was like, "Are you gonna sing the song?" And I sang the song. Jeff joined us. That's pretty awesome. So when I teach Ross Bentley that I have a song, that's pretty awesome. And he told us all about positive, turning things around to be actually positive. Jeff is like, "Don't lift." He's like, "Nope, got to turn it around. Don't say don't, because that's what your brain's going to think first, and maybe
Say do.
not."
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know about do lift, but making it so that your comment to yourself is actually positive,
Hold
not
the gas.
just
Hold the
yeah,
gas.
something like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that.
Yes. That's my favorite.
All the gas.
All
Mhm.
the gas. Well, maybe not all the gas though.
Just hold the gas.
Hold the gas.
On the gas. Okay, good. I think mine was similar to what Bill was saying. It's great just to have an HPDE weekend with a bunch of friends. It's so much better than just, if you go by yourself, it's really, it was like a cross between a Lemons Time and an HPDE. And, when we had the, stereo going and stuff, we were obviously way more fun than most people who were there having a good
Bish
time.
showed up.
Like
know?
all
Yeah.
of them.
Right. And it's always fun that I get to play, car smorgasbord, thanks to Bill's good graces of, "What do you want to drive anything?" And so I didn't drive 6 cars this weekend like I did last time, but it's still fun to try them all. They're good, and just try to help
what
make them better.
happened in the last session when you were right seating with me? They gave me crap for showing up in a different car.
Yeah. They did. Like, "You have to tell us if you're changing cars because we have different numbers and this." And I'm thinking, I drove a different car every session sometimes. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, good. All right.
Bill, your
Anyone-
favorite part of the
Bill,
weekend?
favorite?
So I had two, and it was, like I said, this weekend I tried to focus on the rest of the team, and it was I finally was able to drive with Vicky and Jennifer and Liam out on the track. So I got to see and follow them and see what they were doing, and give them a little bit of coaching with the rest of the team.
They love the lead follow.
Yeah,
They
I
were
hope
so excited by it. Yeah. When they got out, they're like, "Oh, we did this and we learned stuff." And yeah, and they were watching each other. I think that really helped them as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And the best part about this particular weekend is, 2 weeks from now we go to Thompson, so it's still fresh. You just did an HPDE. It's like the perfect amount of time, so you get to apply it. And then the other thing was, we were able to use some of the telemetry to actually look at different drivers within the same car. We got some video data with Chrissy. We got some physical data with Chris and Vicky in the same car. And I haven't gone through all the data we've got because Chris has some of it. And after this weekend, we can pretty much see the differences between each of us in the same car and in different cars, and compare car to car or driver to driver. And I think that's going to be valuable to point out, that Chris obviously being the benchmark for the people that were in our group, but what's the difference between where we are and where we obviously could be, but aren't yet. So those were the big ones.
Stay on the gas.
Stay on the gas.
And the gas.
No.
Yep. So Chrissy
Modulating
No.
the gas. Modulating the gas.
I mean,
said,
that's
all the gas. No.
No.
No. Oh well.
You also were yelling, so there's that. But
It's just because it's loud. That's what he always tells
no,
me.
that's not true at all.
It is.
Because I
do
go
tell
like this. I
people
go like
that.
this. Why are you yelling?
That's
And he goes,
loud.
because it's loud, not because
No.
I'm mad.
Nope, he's mad.
Not bad. Okay.
Anyway,
Time to go to lessons learned.
yeah.
Ooh,
Jeff,
all right.
I'm dying to hear what you learned. Tell me.
All right. A, get a track car to do a track weekend. I already mentioned that. Here are 3 quick things that Ross Bentley told me. 2 of them were really cool. One of them was an absolute light bulb moment, and it's the proof is what Chris is going to say. Hell yeah, you do that wrong. So he told a lot of his lessons weren't like, this is the physics. It was like, let me tell you a story about this time I was instructing this person or that person. And they're usually someone famous. And he's like, a highly paid professional driver who shall remain nameless. This story was about a kid. It was a kid in a cart. And he said, everything was going, everybody was within a second, and this kid was 5 or 7 seconds too slow. And he told him to just listen and listen to your lap. And the kid came back and he was within 1 second again, and his mile per hour went all the way up. And he said, well, what changed? And he says, oh, I heard the tires going, whoa, 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 whoa. And I knew that that's when I was turning right. And he talked about all the different sounds. And I really liked that because when I was right seating with Chris, hearing the tires sing again reminded me that I was totally like being a wimp and not doing what I should be doing. So it was good. It was good. That was a cool story.
It's hard to listen.
It
in
is
our
hard
car.
to listen.
'Cause
Absolutely.
it's hard to hear. And actually I had ear headphones in once and then not headphones in another. The car's just so it's not as loud as the Honda, but it's pretty darn loud. So it's hard to hear the tires sing sometimes because you got all the rest of the sounds happening.
Yeah.
Go faster. You'll hear him.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I wasn't going fast enough to make them sing. So then the other thing that he did was we were talking about weight transfer and how to do this and how to do that, or blah blah blah, the same stuff we always did. And he took a water bottle with half filled, and he tilted it like this, so like the water went into an angle. For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, and he basically said, yeah, when you weight transfer, you put more weight on these wheels and less weight on those wheels. But the way physics works is the tires with the 70% of the weight, gain less than the tires that now have 30% lose. And it's because it's not a linear transfer of weight, and weight does not equal grip. So the best way is to be balanced. And that's why smooth is fast, because there's so much less weight transfer. And he basically said, like, stop trying to think like I'm going to load those tires because those are the ones doing the work, and try and keep it balanced and keep it where you're going to be doing, and try and like don't overload any one part of the car at any one time, because like I said, it just doesn't work that way. You don't gain more than you lose, and all the tires should be working at all times. So I thought that was interesting. And then the last thing, and this was the light bulb moment. We talked about trail braking, which we always talk about in 2, but I never got it. I never understood exactly what the term meant. I never really, like, people would talk about it and they would say what they were doing, and I was like, what? Huh? I don't get it. And Ross explained it in a different way, and all of a sudden, like, I sort of understand it now. And I think when I am on point and I'm doing things right, I'm actually doing it. But
You don't know.
the way he described it was blending inputs. And blending inputs is my biggest Achilles heel. I try and do one thing at a time, and it gets in the way. And Chris is totally going to agree with me, because the very first thing he said was, when you're shifting, you stop steering. And
your
when
braking
you're
goes to hell. When you're shifting.
braking, when you're shifting, you stop braking correctly. So blending inputs is a better description of what trail braking is than, between the apex and between turning and the apex and braking, like that never clicked for me as much as the way Ross Bentley described it. So I know I have to blend inputs, and that is my biggest weakness. And that is what I'm going to work on now.
You'll have a great time to practice it at Thompson because
Yes.
turn 1 is all about the trail brake.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I do it right, I know that's what I'm doing. I never understood that to be trail braking.
I heard
Excellent.
rumors that you break like a little pansy flower.
I do break like a little pansy in my brand new car, and that's a problem.
But you don't have to do that in the Mazda because it has all the brakes.
I understand.
Yes.
So that's what I
Totally.
learned. Chrissy, what'd you learn?
I learned a lot of things because mine was all new, but it was definitely a lot. These were all from Russ, really. I think all of them are. We didn't have a whole lot of classroom because Russ popped in our meetings a whole bunch. So it wasn't a whole lot of, we were standing in a garage. So at least when we were in 2, you at least sat in the classroom. There was a PowerPoint. We had none of that. So we talked a lot about data. So we basically tried to break down the different options for data. So there's our data or data. We had this argument the whole time on what to have you don't have to have the coolest thing. So we basically started talking about your first initial thing that's free is checking your shift points. So how do you know that you're going faster? Is that if you are getting your shift light earlier, you know that you've done better, and that's instant. So you have that information right there. If you're keeping track of it, you can do that. You could have Harry's or an equivalent. And the suggestion from that was making sure, especially if you're going for a track day, to open it and read it and look through it before you get to the track. So then you don't need to take the time to remember what you have done before, kind of compare, although you may have different cars and it might have been a different experience. But at least if you remember what you're looking at, then you could do that before you get to the track. Yes.
Explain what Harry's is.
Harry's lap timer. So it is that I believe is a free program, correct?
No,
You need to have
there's a free version, but
okay.
that's
You need some kind of GPS dongle or some kind of thing in the car to be giving accurate GPS for where you are on the track, and then connected to. And there's a couple of different ones. And actually, I'm going to shoot this over to Bill because this is his. He can talk about the electronics. Okay, so I'll get there in 1 second. The other thing that we can do is a video. So stick a GoPro in your car. And the one thing that was interesting is not just watch it, but take a bunch of different laps, cut them down, look at them side by side, and time yourself in between segments. So I'm going over start finish from between start finish, and when I break at 4, take a couple corners or less, actually, take 2 corners and time it and use a stopwatch and figure out how long you've taken between those 2, and then figure out the differences. Whichever's fastest, figure out what you did in those to figure out what you did faster. So these are free, not free. A GoPro is not free, but these are things you probably have, but you don't need the coolest thing, which I'm going to make Bill to give you the advertisement for, because you can do other cool things without these things. Okay. So we had a Catalyst. I never got the Apex Pro in there, but I had plenty of Catalyst time. So I would like Bill to be able to explain these things.
Okay, so the Catalyst is it's rather unique in the telemetry market. What it does is it combines your video with your GPS, and it has algorithms, and it kind of views what you're doing in terms of the size of your car and the front of your car, and it knows the track from within the program, and it tries to ascertain where you are losing time relative to yourself on that particular day in that particular car under those particular conditions. So after 2 laps, it establishes what the limits are, and then it tries to coach you through verbal prompts while you're actually driving to brake a little later, brake a little harder, brake a little softer, carry a little more speed, push it a little bit through different areas of the track, and it'll actually coach you like someone in the right seat would, without having somebody in the right seat. So it's a really nice thing, especially as you get higher in the HPDEs, where you don't have in HPDE 1, you have 100% right seat coaching. In HPDE 2, you get 1 or 2 during the weekend. In HPDE 3, you might get 1, maybe 2. But for somebody like Chris, who never gets anybody in the right seat, this could be a really great thing. And he can actually listen to at least what it sees while you're on track that you could do just a little bit better. And it's worked for drivers. I know it worked for Ross, and Ross is a very accomplished driver. He's a former IndyCar driver. He's not just a coach. He actually can do the driving. So it's a pretty valuable tool. It's a little pricey, but if you think about it in terms of it's a GoPro with data analysis, it's a little more palatable. So we like it. We like to run it and the Apex Pro at the same time when we do HPDs, just because they give you little pieces of different information.
Yeah. So I have to admit that because it was Ross Bentley sponsored by GoPro and Garmin men running all over the place, we did get we got a bunch of ads. I feel like we had the get your Garmin Pro. It was not quite that commercialized, but it was definitely conversations. All of the Garmin people I think they were paddocked. So they were pitted in our garage, so they were always running through and talking to us and telling us all about it. And
don't forget to get your Garmin
kind of, yeah. And I think they went to most of the different groups and talked to them. So
see,
it was
we
nice.
Didn't see them once. We didn't see the Garmin people once.
Oh yeah, at all.
Interesting.
We had a lot of them. At some point, me and the other guy are like, really again? Like we're just like, stop. It's great. And of course they did allow people to put it in their car. So they said the first 4 people and, raise your hand, you can get a couple stints for, half the day, and these couple people get it for tomorrow. So they were trying to let people use it. And of course I didn't raise my hand because I used it most of the weekend, which I was very excited about. And I need to find out where my video is so I can see how awesome it is. Awesome.
It's on a super secret link that I'll send you shortly.
Sounds fantastic. Okay, so that's enough about data, but I just thought that was interesting. It was a lot of here that Garmin is the best, and Ross said it was the best, but here's some other ideas. Like that was some other ideas that you could do for how to figure out how you can make yourself go faster. Another thing that I learned was the idea that when you're braking, how many positions can the brake pedal go?
Infinite. Infinite range.
You're reading my notes. So his
digital.
His idea, right? So his idea was, if you pick a number, if you have 1 to 100, you say, okay, 1 is all the way extended, and 100 is all the way down. You can pick a number of how much you want to brake. And you could say, well, you could say 75. Well, that was a little bit much. So maybe I need to go 55. So picking a number, I feel like I do this when I say I call it my ballerina toe. Like if I'm just braking very, very little just to, settle the nose of the car, that's, 10. So, just picking a number in between there is kind of an interesting way to think about how much you're supposed to be braking. It's not always just on and off forever, especially for every turn. We talked a little bit about driver mindset. I am a rock star. Think about the times when you are a rock star. I know we've talked about this, but I think it's definitely a good thing to have. And I also very much need to remind myself of a time that things went really well, that I did really well, to make sure that you are getting in the car with the most positive attitude as possible. Are you raising your hand? Yes, please.
Yep. It doesn't necessarily even have to be driving. You could have done something somewhere else and carry it in, and it'll help your mindset.
Yeah, totally. That's usually where I do, because I usually forget the times that I do a really good job driving. So yes, I think it's whenever you feel awesome and whenever you've done awesome, get in the car and say that you're going to do awesome. One thing that I thought was really interesting and something that I had not heard of is, and the people that are on the screen and YouTube can watch. So basically you're saying there's a dial on your heart. And so basically you're saying, so sometimes when you are driving and you are having road rage and somebody just cut you off, and so now your dial is up to 11, or sometimes you're getting red misty, or you are driving aggro or something like that, your heart and your internals are up to 11. So the idea is to turn it down and say, I feel like there are times where you're saying, okay, I need to be at a 7 right now. So that's one of those things where he, kind of had a good conversation about it, to say, where do you need to be right now? And maybe you either need to tell somebody that you're just turn it down a little bit, but he kept putting his hand, and you can't see me on podcast land, your hand is on your heart, and kind of your heart is a dial, but turning it down so that you're really trying to focus on what you're doing at the time and being more mindful of it, rather than just, your feelings and everything taking over and turning it up to 11. Yep. My last thing that I learned was your unconscious brain is very large. Your conscious brain is very small. So you want to practice the things that you're in your conscious brain, and you have to think about them. If you think about them enough, then hopefully they will go into your unconscious brain, and then you don't have to think about them as much. And then you can file them all in the back. And I think this happens because as we especially move up the ladder in the different HPDE levels, I feel like a lot, and racing for that matter, a lot of these things are now unconscious, but and the speed of processing is also very different between the two. So I just thought that was an interesting. Keep practicing them; they will go to your unconscious brain. You get new things in your conscious brain, but the more you practice them, then they go into the back of your head and they become normal. That's what I got.
Very cool. What about you, Chris?
I learned some good tips from Ross about how to make a track map that you're drawing more effective. It's not just the drawing part, but what notes and annotations can you make on the map to make it more effective for you before you get in the car? Things like, marking the apex specifically with an A, putting X's in areas of high traction where you really can maximize it. So that's it. If there's elevation changes, drawing a line that corresponds with the crest of the hill, so you know where it's light, and it's usually not directly across the track. Usually, maybe it's diagonal, whatever the case may be. So things like that I think will make it more effective to have a track map ahead of time, especially if you're going to be sharing that with somebody else or whatnot. It makes it more useful than just lefts and rights and ups and downs. There's more texture to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote actually all over my track map in Ross's session, but we didn't talk about some of those things.
Yeah, well, I'll show you sometime.
Yeah, like that.
Learn some things to help with students. We've talked about a couple of these things here, like, get the mindset right, and listening or concentrating on one sense as opposed to all of them, like really trying to focus on one particular sense in a session and see what you get out of that. So those things are nice for students. I reinforced to myself just how important vision is, as I rode along with 4 people this weekend, and 3 of them I was able to immediately see and then change how they drove because I could tell they're not looking up. They're looking way too close. Yep. So by doing vision exercises with them of basically saying, look at this thing. All right, now look at this thing. Now look at this thing. And that's all. You make a dramatic change in how people are driving. So I did it with my student. I did it with a couple of you guys. So it was huge. And it's always amazing just to see the immediate effects of looking somewhere else on someone's driving with nothing.
I only said once or twice, where is that?
Yeah.
You're like the speed limit side. And I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, I literally don't see what you're talking about.
Then once you saw it once, you said, oh, okay. And it's a great spot.
Yeah, maybe the sun. You know what? The sun was in my eyes. It was late in the day.
Sure. Look all the way down the hill.
Yep.
I didn't have my glasses.
Legit. I legit going down 4 to 5. Sorry to railroad you. I never looked down that hill. Ever.
Look all the way down the hill.
I didn't look down the hill.
Oh.
No, I never looked down the hill. I looked
Bill,
at
is Vicky still in the room?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, bring her over real quick.
4 apex. 5 into 4. I never looked down that hill.
But it made your 4 so much better. Like
yeah,
your line through 4 immediately.
Well, and that's where she said that she needed her pillow seat, because I would look down the hill and look at the apex that I couldn't see because the tack is there. So I would try to see it. Instead, you just look all the way down the hill. Holy crap.
Yeah. Vicky, we're talking about the hill in Pittsburgh. What did I say about the inside of the turn at the hill of Pittsburgh? Our track work, on our track walk?
It's very deceptive on how much you're going to walk up it.
No, when we're going down the hill, remember I said, over here, I never see this. I said, there could be a naked lady right here.
That's right.
And I never would have seen it because my eye is focused on that apex. As soon as I make that turn to the top of the hill, I'm looking down at that apex.
Yeah, I remember walking the because that was not this track walk. That was the one before.
That was the track
actually
walk.
two
Right,
before.
yes, right.
And I remember walking next to Chrissy. She's like, "Don't look at the naked lady. Don't look at the naked lady. Don't look at the naked lady." And she kept pointing to that inside curve.
Oh, if I had
Yeah.
remembered this story, I would have told Ross this story, but I
Yeah.
had forgotten this
But
story.
you know what? Now every time I go in there, that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, "Don't look at the naked lady."
That's awesome.
This
But
is
you have to
between
look
turn
up the hill
4.
too, though.
This is between 4 and 5 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big downhill, and you can
It-
see everything. Like that's one of the places where you really can see.
You can if you
the
look
apex
there.
so
You
far
can if
away.
you look there. That is the problem. I did not.
Yep.
No, I'm spending a lot of time trying to figure out my gearing right there,
Third.
and not
Yeah,
not looking
third.
at the naked lady.
Third.
Yeah, and it's a hike getting
Third.
up that hill. I mean, if you miss a gear, you're just like, oh,
Oh yeah.
geez,
Except if you're in a
right?
high-powered car and everybody buzzes by you and they're just like, "See ya." And I'm
Man,
like,
the Veloster pulled
"Oh,
up that hill like
Did it?
nobody's business.
Oh my god.
Better than the Miracle.
Oh yeah, 250 horsepower
Oh,
more.
wah, wah.
Miracle lost speed up the hill, I think, actually. Yep.
No, it was a good track. I do like Pitt. I think Pitt is one of my favorite tracks. It didn't used to be, but now Pitt and Mid Ohio are like, I think pretty much up there now.
See, we need to get to Mid Ohio.
Seriously.
Okay. Sure. All right. I'm going to keep going.
Go ahead.
Next thing. Everybody needs a tune up. I need a tune up. You all need a tune up. Everyone needs a tune up. And it's great to have these events to try to do that. And, coach each other, coach your friends at Thompson, get somebody out in the passenger seat with you because you're going to find weird things that people are doing that they have no idea they're doing.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
And a lot of them are little and quick and you can solve them. So do it. Bill.
I mean, one thing that, I'm going back to my data, the engineer in me. Every one of our drivers at every track is better than every other one of our drivers at certain spot. Pick our fastest, pick our slowest. Our slowest driver is faster than our fastest driver and everyone else on a certain turn in a certain way. And if you do nobody's perfect, especially on our team. But,
If only you could make one person out of all of the bits of Garage Heroes.
Exactly.
That's
That'd be
weird.
terrifying.
Would be. I don't know if you have enough harnesses.
Absolutely. When
Yeah.
when we were crunching data, Chris found something I was doing better than him. I think was it New Jersey? I can't remember.
Yeah, I
which.
think so.
Yeah. And I
You're
said,
holding more
"That's
speed
not
in some corner."
possible.
Yep. And this next one kind of follows along with what Chrissy was saying too. Data is hard, but it's useful. Like it's hard because you have to make the commitment to have the bits and have them set up and have everything work and like to know that, oh, this Android tablet that I got for free, I was like, oh, I'll just run Race Chrono on this. Won't this be nice? Oh, no, what? It needs special software to talk to the external GPS dongle. And I'm at the track 5 minutes before my session. I'm not going to get that done. Right. Oh, I tried Harry's. It worked great for one session. Oh, and then it didn't work because the iPad is 18 years old and, it's just having a hard life. That didn't work. So, but when you get it and it works, it tells you all kinds of things, but you do have to make the time to look at it and to compare it to stuff. Like you can't just look at a lap and say, oh, that's nice. Great. You have to compare it to other people, your other laps. Where is the difference? So it's hard, but it's useful. And
It's
last thing
almost
I
a
learned,
position on the team is what we
Yeah.
found.
really, pretty much. Last thing I learned is if you're at Pitt Race, Randy Bish will find you.
He will.
Well, I mean, we were the only people that were. Well, I guess there were still a couple people around,
Having
but not
fun.
many. Yeah, I rode around on Scooty at like 9 o'clock, and there was not a single person around. Oh, there's one
Yeah.
person, one team doing an engine swap. Other than that, not much.
Somebody was doing an engine swap. at
Something
HPDE.
very
Wow.
serious. Engine trans something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Randy Bish has a certain set of skills.
It's true. Bill, what did you learn this weekend?
Personally, Going back to Jeff's description where Ross was talking about the bottle filled with water or partially filled with water, during our download session, Ross confirmed what I do naturally, and it's basically due to lemons, in that I don't just try to drive the line. I try to experiment a little bit, because in lemons you never get to use the line, so you're basically forced to experiment. But one of the things he said was, we tried to do a track walk. We didn't get very far because we talked for hours about everything. I found that staying in fourth gear through turn one gave me more, my higher min speed in the turn by 3 to 6 miles an hour, which is huge when you finally get all the way down to the top of the hill at the end. And if I just stayed in fourth, and that was due to not over slowing and keeping the car in balance and being able to carry more speed through the turn. So I was able to increase my speed through there and drop my lap time. So that was the big one for me personally. And then the other one was going around with Jennifer and Vicky on the track, seeing what their lines were, and also trying to help them work through their issue where they start to panic and lift on a straightaway when approaching a high speed brake zone. And I think we've got an idea of what they're doing. They're actually, it goes back to what Chris spoke of before, vision. I think they're so preoccupied with the rapidness and the location of the braking markers that they're not looking through the turn at the apex, and that makes everything seem much faster. So their predisposition is to lift and make things a little slower, as opposed to look at where you want to go and use the brake markers in your peripheral, not as your focus. And I think that'll help them, hopefully.
One is deceptively fast.
It
in
is.
Pittsburgh. You
Totally.
I guarantee whatever you do in one, you could be doing it faster.
Pretty much every time.
Yep. Because it's so wide on the exit.
And it's uphill. You don't need to brake so much.
Nope.
It's so easy to overbrake.
Especially with the hill before it, and it's kind of blind until you crest that hill.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a tricky little turn. It's a fun track, though. I enjoy it.
All righty. What's next?
I think we were going to do some car reviews.
That's all you learned, Bill?
That's all you. There's
there's
15
more?
bullets here.
I know. Well, I learned how to do brakes because, my team wasn't there. So you guys let me touch a car. So that was nice.
You did a fine job bleeding brakes. That's an important skill to know.
Who knew? It's pretty good. I did get to drive the Mazda 3. I love the Mazda 3.
Well,
You
let's
had
let's roll
3
right into
laps. You had 3 laps.
let's roll right into car reviews then.
They were
Bill,
3 great laps.
What's everyone drove the Mazda this weekend. I won't even say anything. You guys, what do you think? How's the Mazda? Bill, start us off.
I would say the one word would be neutral or balanced. Either one. I don't think it's an understeer or an oversteer or a it's just a very forgiving car, and it'll basically, it's kind of like a well-trained dog. It's like, what do you want to do? What do you want me to do? I'll do whatever you want me to do. If you want to go around this turn, I'll go around this turn. This turn looks great. Give me a treat at the end, and we'll call it good. Maybe, I might need a wheel hub or something, but whatever, it's fine. I very little things wrong with it. I thought the pedals travel was a little long and the pedals were a little high, but it could have been my seating position, and I only got out there one time. So, but did pretty well. I enjoyed it. Had a great time. Love to do it again.
Good.
Excellent. Jeff, you got out there a little bit with it, especially after the juxtaposition of the Veloster to the Mazda.
Yeah, real race cars do real race car things, and it is a real race car. If you think, oh, look at that, it's just like a street car, they just put stickers on a street car, you're wrong. It is deceptively angry when it wants to be. It will steal your lunch money. That's what I'm gonna say. It's funny. This is a totally different aside, but it really will tell you what I think of the Mazda 3. Remember that Jeep that was at New Jersey Motorsports?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a Jeep Cherokee, and they were wheeling the piss out of it. Lemons released the video for the recap for, those are NJMP track instructors.
Yeah.
And those
saw that.
guys followed me and was like, damn, that car is good.
Yeah, damn, that driver is good.
That
No,
too.
it was the car.
Right.
Chrissy?
Trying to be nice. I thought the car was great. It does everything it should. It does it well. It brakes very great. It has ABS. It does all these things well. I just feel like I am not driving it as well as I could. I think it is better. It's not better than me. It's just I'm not using its all full potential. So there's plenty to work on. And I think it's good. Like everybody else said, it's balanced. It's I don't know. It's good. I like it. People are still giving me crap about how it looks. There are a bunch of press dudes standing in the pit lane while I was waiting for my team to get there when we did team drills. And they're like, this is too nice. They're like, are you really race this? Yeah. And I had to tell them the whole story. And they're just like, oh. And then they walked away.
Yeah. Once everyone hears the story, they stop. They're like, okay.
And they're like,
that's fine.
but they're like, they walk around. They said there's tag on. They're like, well, that's not real. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. And I was like, the
Like-
registration is right here. And they're just like, no, it's not real. Like,
Do you want my easy pass?
right. It's if you don't, this one doesn't have one, but we'll put it in if I need to.
It's
take
still on. It's still on the account.
it. Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
All right. I'm not going to talk about the Mazda. Everyone else has. Jeff, Veloster review. Track.
I love that car, and it needs a better drive. I'm just like Chrissy. I wish I would have gotten more out of it. It is way more powerful, and it really does stick really, really well. And that electronic diff is freaking magic. I don't know what it's doing in there. But it really freaked out when a lot of tire slag got on the tires. And I don't know whether it was affecting the ABS diff or not, but when the slag was on the tires, man, it started doing weird things. So don't get slag on your tires. And the 19-inch tires and the Pirelli P0s, everyone on the forums is like, they're terrible. They're gonna they shred themselves immediately. I beat the piss out of those things, and I didn't see a whole lot of wear on them.
Yeah, I didn't.
So
A little bit from underinflation the first time, but once we fixed that, it was better.
yeah,
Cool. Great.
train pulls like a train.
Yeah. M3, Bill, you and I drove that. What do you think of your car, Bill?
M3. It's probably the highest horsepower car I've driven on track. I think it needs a little refinement of the brakes. We're trying a new brake pad on that car right now, and I'm not sure it's conducive to my driving. I'm more used to the SD43s. That one just never gives me that feeling of security. It kind of
You got to really hammer on it to get it to stop. Like
right, and
a lot.
It's yeah. So I guess the term would be the initial bite isn't what I'm quite used to, and it's not gradual. It's kind of nothing. Like, oh my, we're stopping. So that would be one thing, and then I think we both agree that it could use a little more love in terms of front tire.
Oh yeah.
So
The 225 front tires were just sad. They just couldn't do it. I can't.
They tried. They were
Can't do
trying,
it.
but they just didn't have enough. And
Yeah.
and I'm really looking forward to when we can get the race car version of that. And because the other thing is the seat being a normal road going seat is quite plush, which makes you higher. And then it's got the roof with the sunroof because BMW, and it's hard to get a helmet in there. So sometimes you're driving down the track and your head's a little cooked to the center a little bit, and
In the sunroof hole. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, good. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, that motor is a gem. I love that motor in the M Coupe. It's so nice. But yeah, your car absolutely needs more front tire and a more aggressive brake pad. And then I think it would be good. Though the changes we made in the shocks, we softened them because the ride was a little bouncy on track. And after softening them, it was notably better. I think that was a good improvement.
and
Cool.
definitely a fun car though.
Great. Was I the only one that drove any Miatas this weekend? Yes.
Vicky doesn't let me drive a Miata.
Yeah. I drove Vicky's Miata. It's hilarious. It was a riot. It's a NB with a turbo and Fox suspension for flying Miata on a Zenith. And it'll oversteer, it'll understeer, it'll drift. You can catch it. You can do both. You can do whatever you want. What a wonderful little happy car until it got a little too hot. Oh, well, we were having a great time. That was fun.
Sounds like the coils need a little love. So
I think
see
so.
What we can do about that.
Just got a little hot. Yep. So all good cars all around. Bill, something here?
Oh, I had a question. So,
Yes.
so Chrissy and Jeff both spoke as if they were the limiting factor of the car, right? Now you, my friend, I think you're limited by the car. What do we need to do to get you in a car today that the limit would not be the car, but would actually be something that you would have to strive to improve yourself?
Something dumb fast, like a Z06 on Hoosiers or something with it. And I had a student with that one of those, and I had to reset my brain. It did not compute. Like I can wheel the Miata or the Mazda around at those kind of speeds on street tires all day. I can play around at the limit, no problem. That's great. But my brain will not won't be able to handle the kind of speeds and grip that something like a really actual fast modern car on sticky tires really can do. That'll take a while.
When is the last time you've been on race rubber?
Driven on race rubber? Like,
I mean,
years
skip barber
and years
school?
and years. No, they put you on street tires on purpose because you slide easier. Like I used to have some Kumo Victo racers in my Integra when I ran, when autocrossed. But I always said race rubber is dumb. It's so much money. I just never wanted to spend the money that it took to buy good tires all the time. That's why I like these street tire classes. That's why I love RS4s. They last forever. They're great.
They do. See, I wasn't sure if it was a horsepower thing or a tire grip thing. Like, did you need more horsepower or less tire grip? And I wasn't sure how to get you there. Like, if it required us to get a 1,000 tread wear tire and put it on the Miata for you,
No, that I can do. That would be easy.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved the winter tires on the Miata. That was fantastic.
That's so much fun. And when you're doing it at such low speeds, like you can just play around at the limit and there's like no consequence to it. So you're comfortable doing it.
Slow car fast, much better than a fast car slow.
Totally. Yeah, it's a high horsepower sticky tire car. I'd have to reset my brain. That would be tough.
That'd be fun. I want to see it. Love to see it.
All right. Bill AMA, what's this?
So you guys have this in celebration of your 200th episode, part 2. I thought I would get my questions in early and let everybody else have their time. So I have 5.
Ask me anything. I got it.
I have questions.
Do we answer them now or do we save them for the AMA?
It's your choice.
Well, there's only 3 or 4 of us here, so
okay. I will post them. They are right here. So they will be pasted into your doc.
Oh,
okay.
Great.
Maybe
next time.
Should we answer one maybe just to give people what kind of interesting things are out there?
Okay. So
it's a Bill question. It's got like sub questions and sub bullets.
Yeah, wow.
Okay. So here's the one that I would like to know. As far as your personal driving, what is something that you feel that relative to the rest of your driving, you're relatively good at? What do you need that needs a little bit of work, maybe a focus? And what is your biggest area that needs to improve? Now, this isn't relative to,
again, a multi-part question. Thank you.
Of course. That's how I get a 3-hour podcast, buddy.
I've already mentioned this is I need to do more than one thing at the same time. That is the number one thing that I need to fix in my brain. It's not go there, then do this, then go there. It needs to blend. I need to get there. And before I get there, start this process. And as I move past the apex, slowly move to the other process, and et cetera.
So what would you be good at though, Jeff? What do you?
Traffic management. That's
Traffic,
what I do.
okay.
Yeah. If this track weekend, like track day stuff, is my Achilles heel. I must do it perfect, and there is no one around me,
Mhm.
and I'm not allowed to pass. What I
You'll
do
lo-
well
You'll love
is predicting where that car is going to be when I catch it, and knowing how to get around it.
So, what's your biggest area to improve?
I just said blending my inputs.
Blending your inputs. Okay.
Blending my
So you're going to
inputs.
be paying attention to friction circles stuff.
No, I always do friction circles. I think doing more than one thing at the same time, braking and shifting and turning all together.
Okay. What about you, Miss Chrissy?
Driving line is something I'm relatively good at for the most part. Every once in a while, there's a corner that I could use a little more of the track, but for the most part, my lines are pretty good. I'm also pretty good at traffic management if we're talking racing at all.
I would concur.
Thank you. What needs some focus is braking later. Just I'm copping out on that, but I need to brake later. I need to brake less. I need to work on my braking. It's not necessarily later. It is all of it. It is the appropriate amount, coming off correctly, and getting on the gas. The whole braking section process is what needs work. Oh, and eyes up. I mean, I thought all weekend there are a couple times that I told myself eyes up because I know where they are. But this time I found even more. So that's obviously a thing that I need to be working on. So what my areas of improving braking and just thinking about braking and making sure my eyes are up. So, yep.
Mr. Rabbit, do you have anything you need to work on?
This year, I have been working on braking later because I was, from endurance racing, I'm used to kind of taking it easy a little bit in the braking zone just to see how things go. And I think I made good progress with that at Pitt, as evidenced by Chrissy's testimony from when she was riding along that I was braking.
I will support that.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad that that's working. And I think part of it is I have a lot of confidence in the brakes in the Mazda, for example. Like they are phenomenal, and ABS is lovely to have just as a backstop. So I'm not worried about flat spot and tires. So that's been great. So I'm happy that progress has been being made. Areas I want to improve is I want to try to fill in the gaps in kind of the in-between sections. Like you're done braking, but you're kind of starting cornering, or you're in between things at maximum. How can I fill in those gaps to get more out of the car in those areas? And that includes when you might be, using all of your front tires, is there any way you can get the rear tires a little more involved? Like, how do you get the maximum grip from all 4 tires that you possibly can get, as opposed to just the 2 that are doing the most work?
That's what Ross was saying with the bottle and the balance. Yeah.
How do I get all of the 4 tires to be doing stuff a little bit better? So that's what I'm trying to focus on now.
So one thing I never got to ask you over the weekend, on the exit for the big turnaround going onto the front straight, were your tires still talking to you after the apex? Not on entry, but on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that patch was a chatty patch that's there.
Yes.
So yeah, and they would still talk a bit going past that.
Okay, because I couldn't get anything past the patch. The patch was where they just said, "Okay, I'm good. Let's go fast. Let's go straight."
And it depends on the car. Like in the Mazda, yes, because the Mazda tends to understeer, and it was easy to do that. Where your car the tires didn't talk as much as the Mazdas.
That could be.
I don't recall if I got your tires talking past the patch or not.
Okay, sounds cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
Great.
question.
Absolutely.
We'll do more of us we'll do more when there's more of us.
Okay. Anything
Very
else
cool.
on this topic while we're still here?
No, but I love your questions, Bill. I'm going to cut and paste them into our AMA episode. The second to last red bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about like food?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
talking about? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right. I love
That's that's right.
that was
Hey.
actually a year ago.
Yep.
That was at this. All
That's
right.
right. We
Okay.
can make that happen. That's not a problem. See, so here's the thing. If our audience does not call in to episode 204, you will be subjected to the questions that are typical from a Garage Heroes in Training podcast. So if you don't want to hear partly a Garage Heroes in Training type episode, you need to come in and ask questions. Otherwise, they will have to answer these questions. So it's up to you guys.
Thank you for picking.
Thanks for the warning.
Yes.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
love every one of these questions. I will dumb them down a little bit
worries.
because they're a little complex and they will make it to the AMA. Just the tip time. I'm going for like a Captain Caveman thing in case anyone
Yeah,
didn't recognize
saw
that.
that. The hair was giving it away. Yeah. I saw that. So
Just a tip time. We're going to let our guest do just a tip.
Yes, we
Bill,
are.
do you have a safety tip? And does it involve lug nuts, hood pins, or gas meters?
I was not told this needed to be a safety tip, but okay.
Oh no, you can do whatever you want. for
No,
just a
it
tip.
doesn't. I didn't say that.
Doesn't
So
need
go
to
ahead.
be.
Okay. So here would be my tip. Okay. No matter how long you've been racing, no matter how many times you've gone to the track, no matter how much you drive during the daily, you can improve by coming to an HPDE at virtually any level you're at. It could be your first time on track, highly recommended. We raced our first time on track, was a race. Our second time was a race. Our third time was a race. And then we realized, hey, we're not very good at this. And we started doing the HPDE thing. And just because you are very experienced doesn't mean you can't get something from HPDE 3 or HPDE 2 or HPDE 4. It could be whatever. Just go and do it, and you'll be amazed at how much you can get from going to one of these events. Even if you think I'm pretty much at the pointy end of the field, there's always something there, and there's always somebody there who can teach you something. And they may not even be faster than you, but they can teach you something. And we chose to start at HPDE 1, get a nice solid foundation, and keep building on that foundation and work our way up from basically HPDE 1 up. You may or may not choose to go that path, but we liked it, especially at the where we started. So HPDEs, there for everybody.
That is a good plug.
Awesome. Does anybody
Totally.
want to add to that or anything?
Bring
I
a
was
car
gonna
that
say-
you're not afraid to drive.
Yes. Ross actually said almost the exact same thing that Bill said. Everyone needs to work on their skills, even the most basic things. He said, and this, I don't know if I believe this or not. He talked about our boy Hamilton, your boy Hamilton, my boy is Verstappen. He said he doesn't do any magic. He does all the basics all the time, every time. There's no magic. Everything is understandable.
And also, when he makes mistakes, he can recognize those mistakes and correct them much faster than we're used to. So you don't even notice them really.
Yeah. He probably doesn't even notice them. They're so natural to him.
Yeah.
Probably.
They're in
and
the
his,
beach ball, not the grape.
Yeah,
and his
definitely.
his brain moves at a pace that none of us could even dream of. So there's that too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Great. Thanks for giving the tip. Appreciate it.
No worries. It's
Awesome.
a safety tip because if you're driving better and safer.
There you
Hey.
go.
That's a safety tip.
It's a
Mhm.
reach.
Totally.
It's all safety tip. Do we know what we're doing next show?
Mental's back. I believe next show is Thompson Prep.
Thompson Prep show, right?
Holy crap.
So
Yeah.
that'll be 203, and then 204 is the AMA. So get your
Oh,
questions
Can we
in.
do 205 as the AMA? Because 204 should be Thompson Hangover.
Post hangover, yeah.
Oh, we can do whatever we want. We make this shit up as we go along.
I know we do. That's why I'm
Yep.
making it up
haven't
now.
advertised.
105. Ask
haven't-
me anything.
We haven't ever advertised it that much yet.
3-hour podcasts are possible. Just saying.
Only with
Thank you
Michael.
for downloading us. And Bill, thank you for joining us.
Thank
Do
you
you
for
want to
inviting.
plug anything?
If you like this podcast, hopefully you'll like ours, Garage Heroes in Training.
There it is. Get it wherever you get your podcast. And now on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. We've
On
been
YouTube.
on YouTube. We
Awesome.
did that for some of our deaf listeners. They can get subtitles.
Very good. I always do the subtitles on ours too. We hope you will join us in the world of driving, racing, HPDEing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hated us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you're watching on YouTube, talk to us right down there on the doodly doo. Thank you, everybody, for pointing. If you have any show ideas or questions or comments, drop it on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text mental, even though he's out of the country or wherever the hell he is, 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the robin's egg blue side up, unless you don't have a Veloster N in robin's egg blue. Then just keep those wheels down.
So jelly of the lobster.